Washington, D.C. stands apart from every other American city. Its criminal justice system is unlike any state's, a hybrid of local and federal responsibility. On this day, city leaders outlined the challenges, the debates, and the path ahead. What follows is a closer look into how justice works in the nation's capital and why public safety remains such a defining issue. The discussion began with a reminder that DC's ability to support federal surges or task forces extends only as far as emergencies allow. Beyond that, the city must navigate a delicate balance between its local agencies and the powerful hand of the federal government. Today's focus was on 3 of 4 major work streams, beginning with public safety, an area that reveals just how unusual the district structure really is. Unlike any state or city, Washington's justice system combines responsibilities in ways unfamiliar to outsiders. On one side stands the Metropolitan Police Department, brave men and women sworn to protect residents, operating as a city agency. On the other side lies the vast weight of federal oversight, from prosecutions to probation. This overlap defines how justice is administered in the capital. Consider the path of an arrest. A suspect taken into custody by Metropolitan Police may be held in the DC jail while awaiting trial. But once their case enters the courtroom, federal authority dominates. Adult prosecutions fall not to a local district attorney, but to the U.S. attorney, a federal office appointed from above. Juvenile cases, however, remain with the district's attorney general, keeping at least one corner of justice under local control. The courts themselves reflect the same imbalance. Federal judges preside in D.C., appointed not by city voters, but by national leadership. And when it comes to incarceration, the split grows more visible. Some detainees remain inside the D.C. jail, but many others serve long sentences in far-flung federal prisons under the Bureau of Prisons. For families, that can mean loved ones sent hundreds of miles away, out of reach, out of sight, and often out of mind. Probation, too, whether for adults or juveniles, is controlled by the federal system, underscoring how limited the city's own authority can be. The one space where local agencies retain greater control is youth detention. The Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services works to house, monitor, and hopefully redirect young offenders. Here, city officials emphasize programs that aim to reduce recidivism, to offer second chances, and to acknowledge that teenagers require a different approach from adults. Yet even this area is shaped by federal policy and resources. Amid these overlapping layers of responsibility, one debate looms largest: the size of the police force. In recent months, questions about officer numbers have dominated headlines and talk shows. Has DC allowed its ranks to shrink too far? Do residents feel safe? And what level of staffing is truly required to keep crime in check? The city's leadership sought to provide clarity, offering a long view of how police numbers have risen and fallen across decades. At one time, Washington commanded a force of nearly 4,000 officers. Over the years, however, retirements, budget disputes, and shifting political winds have thinned the ranks. Now, officials warn, without a fresh wave of recruitment, attrition could leave the city vulnerable. That warning strikes at the heart of public trust. For some residents, fewer officers signal weakness, a city unable to keep order. For others, an oversized force represents over-policing, a burden that falls most heavily on marginalized communities. Striking the balance between safety and fairness remains an unresolved struggle, one that echoes through neighborhoods from Anacostia to Adams Morgan. Recruitment is one pillar of the solution. The city hopes to draw in hundreds of new officers, offering incentives and reshaping training. The vision is not merely to increase numbers, but to evolve the culture of policing, a culture that emphasizes community partnership, accountability, and modern tools. Leaders stress that numbers alone cannot solve crime. Strategy, technology, and trust must work alongside manpower. Yet critics ask whether those goals are realistic. Can Washington truly attract enough recruits in a national climate where fewer young people seek careers in law enforcement? Constrained budgets support the salaries, training, and equipment required for a larger force? And will the public, already divided on issues of justice, support or resist such efforts? The answers are far from clear, but what is certain is the unique position of the nation's capital. With its justice system split between local and federal oversight, DC lacks the autonomy enjoyed by states. Its mayor and council must constantly coordinate with federal prosecutors, judges, and prison systems. At times, this arrangement creates inefficiencies. At others, it leaves residents wondering who exactly is accountable when justice falls short. For city leaders, the message is consistent. Public safety requires a full partnership. The Metropolitan Police cannot succeed alone. They rely on prosecutors to secure convictions, on judges to impose fair sentences, on correctional officers to manage detainees, and on probation officials to ensure compliance after release. When any link in this chain weakens, the entire system suffers. And so the debate over policing numbers becomes more than just arithmetic. It becomes a question of confidence in institutions, in partnerships, and in the city's future. Will DC remain dependent on federal surges whenever crises strike, or will it build a sustainable model of safety that reflects the needs of its own residents? As Washington weighs its options, one fact stands out. The city's justice system is not its own. It is shared, shaped, and at times overshadowed by federal power. For residents, this reality means their voices compete not only in local council chambers, but also in the broader halls of national government. The stakes could not be higher. Safety on the streets, trust in the courts, and faith in the rule of law all hang in the balance. The road ahead will require difficult choices about budgets, recruitment, accountability, and autonomy. But it will also require something less tangible, the willingness to see justice not just as a system, but as a promise to every resident who calls Washington home. And so, as city officials remind us, the debate over police numbers is only one chapter in a much larger story, the story of a capital city still striving to define what justice means in the heart of America.